Hello, my friends. Greetings, love, and respect. After quite a long break, I mean a week-long break, as you know, we said holiday. We went to Barcelona and Prague with my wife. But the first day in Barcelona started off a bit problematic. The phones, let's say we lost the phone that they put their hands in our pockets, took it, and ran away. It was a troublesome start, but things went well after that. We made beautiful memories in Prague and returned. We are back at work. Now, I will do an analysis related to Bitcoin and the market that is both gentle and speculative. By the way, look, this is my new Blue Sky account. Here I am addressing the global audience. I only share in English, but if you follow and support me, even if you don't know English, I would be happy and pleased. Now let's just start with Bitcoin. I am expecting a bit of an increase in Bitcoin. So let me say at the beginning what I would say at the end. Have I given up on my expectations of 69 and 72? Almost no. There is a reason for this. More correctly, there are reasons. Now, I'm expecting a rise. Why? I will also explain this with tether dominance, but the situation in the SPX and Nasdaq is actually quite evident. There's a slight moving back and forth over there as well. This, I am expecting a proper correction of the decline. I mean, at least up to here, to this red, or maybe up to 92. There is a possibility of rising and then continuing the decline. However, to reach here, of course, this yellow descending line needs to be crossed. I consider this yellow descending line important. In fact, I could say I consider it more important than all the other resistances. Because look, it touched here 3 times. Here once, here twice, here once. I mean, this is a resistance that has proven itself 3, 4, 5, 8 times. Breaking this can take us to 1992. What happens if it doesn't break? Well, if it doesn't break, then 69s are possible. However, the place we're turning at now is a really nice spot. It leaves me off guard. I'm not completely giving up on my expectation of 69, but the movements here, especially the ones that will happen during this period, are very important for me. If I see a higher low here, I'll give up on 69. Of course, I don't mean this. It came, fell, and is staying here. I'm not immediately giving up. I'll be monitoring here, making higher lows here. So after doing this, what is the higher low of what? It's making a higher high of that, or rather a higher low. If from here it moves upwards, then yes, I would say I have given up on my idea of 69, not just because I saw a single dip. However, I cannot say that right now because it hasn't formed that higher low yet, but it needs a bit of an upward movement. The market shows this. I mean, we can actually understand this very clearly. In this context, if 85,600 breaks, it may go up to around 91, 92. In this period, it's now best to keep shorts a little shorter. It's necessary to hold longs a bit longer because I don't think there's much room left for the short to go further. I honestly don't expect it to go below 69. Maybe it might come here, get stuck somewhere around here. It might dip down a bit or attempt to test the lower yellow trend, but even that is a weak possibility. From here on, it can turn. But we have a long way to go in long positions. At least this is my personal opinion. I mean, we have room to go up to 300,000, up to 250, 300,000. Therefore, when you open a short here, all areas are risky. In my opinion, every drop in Bitcoin creates an opportunity for a long, if you ask me. I mean, it dropped, you can add a little more, it dropped, you can add a little more, and so on. In this way, it's less risky, in my opinion. But if we open a short position and don't close it by the time it reaches here and then it turns to long, then it becomes a problem because it has a long way to go here. It will most likely liquidate you, not immediately, but eventually. That's why I'm not saying never to open short positions, but it's time to gradually end them because we are close to support. Moreover, this strong support has been taken twice from this 75,000 level. Look at the volume bars. Compared to the others, the area was strongly defended. Do you understand? So, for this reason, this is a dangerous place for short sellers. This is a zone for long traders. For example, I am now gradually starting to turn to long positions. Right now, in fact, my long position is open. But what am I doing here today? This is my fourth short position, if I remember correctly. I'm doing it in short bursts. In fact, I have shorts as well. There are two shorts and now I have one long. I'll close the take profit here. This leaves something like $200. The other came from the others as $120. So I'll close the day with $320. But if the movement is strong, for example, I will carry it upward. I won't be afraid. And during this period, I am not afraid to open a long position because it might fall, for instance, to 78, I add more. To 72, I add more. To 69, I add more. It's not a problem. I know it will turn. But if I stay in a short position and an upward trend starts, that's the problem. Where it will turn back is uncertain. It's not, don't say like, well, brother, when things are around 56, will there be an uptrend? Well, bro, it might. I always act according to the technique. So the technique hasn't misled me for 7 years, at least most of the time. So I think this area, not just 74, but I believe this region is finally coming to an end. Returns from here as if, I mean, has it happened from here or was it going to happen from here? I don't know right now. As I said, it leaves you a bit wrong-footed. Now I want to show you the tether dominance. I mean, the rise I mentioned could happen. The events. One of the reasons I say more precisely is this. Tether dominance broke the upward trend that hadn't been broken for a long time, moving downward, and it will likely aim for 4.97. After lingering here a bit, it will most likely go. I mean, even if it goes back in, it will want to see 497 here. This situation could carry us to the 92K level here. In this context, we can't say if this is a prelude for the real rise or not, but it is a strong demonstration. It will be a strong demonstration or a preview, let's say. Here, I think the main issue is after 497, look here. When we see something like 457 in this section and even break it down here, the main issue will start. Therefore, might get stuck at 497. Move upward again. After that, it will rise again here to 470 levels, depending on the angle, of course, a bit more each day. 465, 470. It will happen. After around 470 is broken, we will see this rise in Bitcoin. There will be sharp drops occasionally. There will be small drops occasionally. It won't go bum bum bum. In other words, it will definitely give opportunities. In this context, short sellers should be a bit cautious these days. In the upcoming weeks and months, I suggest you be careful, my short seller friends. Now, when we come to the spec side, friends, I say I expect a rise a bit. Why do I expect it? Because it dropped very sharply. The American side too. I mean, look, this 4-hour chart did not make a proper correction in this area. It went up to 0.382 in Fibonacci. Here, it corrected this sharp drop. Now, there is a gap here, and it will want to close that gap because SPX really respects these gap situations, and it will likely come to close this gap that opened during the drop. We have already seen signs of that today. The market closes in 2.5 hours, but it will probably continue to rise tomorrow as well. It will want to close this gap. Since Bitcoin is correlated with it, we might see a rise on the Bitcoin side too. Now, when we come to the Nasdaq side, this does, again here, of course, just like this sharp drop in SPX. And we see that it makes a correction. Here, at least look up to this area. I apologize, let me draw with this. Look up to this area here. I mean, at least up to 2,500. We might see an increase on the Nasdaq side, maybe even a bit beyond. This also moves in correlation with SPX. Since SPX, Nasdaq, and Bitcoin move in correlation, on the one hand, these rises here also technically in Bitcoin. I think the rise will continue due to both the increase and the correlated movement. But as I said, that rise is up to 91, 92 levels. The reason I draw these is to show that the turnaround from here is also strong. That is, this bottom corresponds to a 113 projection. At this bottom, that is where the trend began in this 2022, October, the bottom, which is December 2022 for Bitcoin, the same period. In fact, look here, Bitcoin also started. It saw 15,000. Then it started to rise. See, it's moving the same way. Do you see? I mean, the rises, falls in such major areas, especially on the Nasdaq side, the SPX side, and the Bitcoin side, are very correlated. Let me tell you that. Now, the 0.382 of this dip is again in this region. So here, specifically for Nasdaq, let's call it a special region. This is a good support region, a good demand region. You can clearly see this from the volume and the size of the candles here. In such a sharp drop with such volume, a corrective movement inevitably comes a bit more upwards. Because indeed the indicators here are very, it was opened. I mean, for this area, at least in VMA 50, look, at May 200 and 100, it has again surrounded the area I drew. So here, towards 100, 200, the trend will likely happen, friends. This will also affect Bitcoin. Let me say that too. Now, for example, let's see what situation we are in with my position. There is a profit of $128. We are waiting here. I got in at 84,900. The closed order. Let's see. If it doesn't come, we'll close it earlier with a smaller profit. Yes, that's all from me for now. Take care. See you.